Scientifically, using the latest sort of telescopes and Hubble telescope and information, they've come up with the idea that about 13.5 billion years ago, from nothingness, from emptiness, from void, came this massive explosion. And that created everything. Now, this can be explained in terms of this. If you imagine this is the yin and yang, the Tao, from void, which is emptiness, suddenly there was this massive explosion. From the yin, in Taoism, it's called the void, emptiness. Came this massive explosion, and then everything was created from it. The yang, anything that we see. And then the idea is gradually, as the universe expands, eventually it will come to a point, once it reaches Tai-Yang, once it reaches expansion, it will gradually collapse on itself and become yin and void again. So from the yin will come the yang, and from the yang will go back into the yin. The other theory is that you have not only just one universe, you have many universes. So as one universe finishes, the other one begins. Parallel universes. One universe finish, another one begin. One universe finish, another one begin. So there are many universes run parallel, or the other side of it is only one universe. Once it finishes, it goes quiet, because very yin, quiet, and maybe another 13 billion years after it has finished, it will come back to another explosion. That cycle again goes. The cycle of the day and night is 24 hours. The cycle of the seasons is 12 months. The cycle of the universe is 13.5 billion years. But to the universe, to the Tao, to God, there is no time, because the time is yang. Whereas to the universe, there is no time. It is what it is. And it goes from the yin to yang, and yin back to yang, back to yin, and rotates. So now, what I can show you is imagine this balloon is the universe. And imagine this balloon is the universe. And every little dot is a galaxy. So what happens is when you blow into the balloon, it expands. So if I go so each little white dot is a galaxy. And imagine that like our Earth and our solar system is a tiny, tiny little bit of dot in this galaxy. And there are billions and billions and billions of galaxies with billions and billions of stars in it. The sun is being one of the stars in the Milky Way here. So as the yang expands, the galaxies move further away from each other. So until the time that it reaches its Tai-Yang. Once it reaches Tai-Yang, gradually the galaxy will become a whimper. And it collapses until it goes back to that void, to that emptiness. So what the scientists say, the scientists can see the yang, all the galaxies, all the stars, all the planets, but they also are confused about this, because in between all the stars is this space called dark matter or dark energy. So they can see the yang, but the yang can be explained by the scientific mind, which is very logical, but they can't understand this dark space, this void in between. And they think, how can it be that at the same time that you have galaxies and material things, you have at the same time you have an empty void in between. For them, the yin and the yang cannot exist together. The scientists think it's either yin or yang. It can't be together. This duality doesn't exist, and that's what it creates a lot of confusion in the scientific world, because they cannot accept the yin and the yang. So Tao Te Ching, or written by Lao Tzu, in the first chapter, describes the creation. In the first chapter, which my partner Kim is going to read, and then I'll explain as we go.
The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name.
Right. So, what it means, the first two lines is the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Means that part of a Tao, you cannot name it. You cannot see it. You cannot use machine to look at it. If you can look at it, it's only half of the Tao. It's the Yang. This side of the Tao, you cannot name it. It's a feel. It's energy. And that's why, again, as I said with the scientists, they're trying to name it. They're trying to fix it. They're trying to look at it with a machine. They're trying to put it into a mathematical formula. But the Tao Te Ching says the Tao that cannot be named is not the Tao. You cannot control it, you cannot name it. You just got to accept it. So part of a Tao, which is Yin, you just got to accept. Part of a Tao, which is Yang, you can see it, you can look at it, you can observe it, you can put it in a mathematical formula. It is Yang. The next two lines are...
The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things.
Right. The nameless, which is this part Yin, is the beginning of heaven and earth. It is just the beginning. From this nameless, the Yin, this dark matter, this dark energy, it creates the Yang. The Yang, the named, so this part you can name it. This part you cannot. The Yin you cannot name. The Yang part, the name part, you can name it, you can look at it, is the creator of the 10,000 things. Is the mother of 10,000 beings. The 10,000 beings in Taoism means everything in the universe. The sun, the moon, the planet, the stars, the humans, the animal, the species, everything. Under one umbrella of 10,000 beings. So this part you can explain. This part you cannot explain. But the two work together. You have to accept the duality. And that's why, again, in the scientific community, you have the, Darwin, which was a very scientific mind, explained evolution in terms of natural selection, which is Yang, but also you have the Yin, which created all that. So you have to accept this duality. You cannot live the duality by just only working on one side. You cannot have day without the night. You cannot have the seasons without the summer, which is Yang, or spring without the autumn and winter. You cannot have one without the other. There must be an acceptance of the two sides. Okay then?
Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations.
Right. Ever desireless means this part, the Yin, is desireless. Doesn't need any credit. God doesn't want any credit. So part of God is Yin, that doesn't need any credit. The other part of the universe, the Tao, God, is Yang. So you can see it. That's the manifestation of this. Again, the two work together. Desireless, ever desired.
These two spring from the same source but differ in name. This appears as darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery.
Right. So, this is the darkness, but they work with the light. From the darkness came everything, the 10,000 beings, and it goes back to the darkness again. So, in our mind, which is logical, Yang, we don't like this side. We want to feel it, touch it, want to explain it. It's very difficult for us to accept it. This you can explain, this you can't. You've got to be at peace with both sides, the Yin and the Yang. Once you're at peace with both sides, then you're enlightened. You're in touch with the universe. So the first chapter of the Tao Te Ching explains this creation of Yin and Yang. So it's very simple, 5 or 6 or 7 lines. But that explains it. But it's very difficult to understand because we try to explain it in our head, but we've got to feel it in here, in the heart, and in the head. It's a yin and the yang again.